Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Reality Realness with 3 S's. I'm your host here, Chantele Francis, here with my darling co-host, Tanya. How are you doing today, Tanya?
I'm doing well. I just had a full work day, but this is what I am most excited to do today. This is my rest and relaxation is going through this episode with you.
I mean, it's definitely this particular episode was great. It was just very entertaining, in my opinion. It's everything that I want in a Bachelorette episode, except for not receiving a rose ceremony. I don't understand this. How do you feel about this? Let's just get that. That's the elephant in the room here. Like, why do they do this to us?
I honestly don't know, because it's not like I think we'd be particularly surprised by whoever would be eliminated at this point based on the way the episode went. But I guess they really needed to focus on Karl's drama at the end and just had to keep us waiting. But I've given up hope on structure at this point with these episodes.
We both have worked in like film, television, the arts, and crafting story. Like, we understand story. And what I know about story is that you need the structure in order for us to really get invested and involved and you know, put ourselves in the perspective of Katie. Like, when they break structure like this, it actually is going against us rooting for Katie. Like, it takes me out of the story completely. And so for whatever, if you think that it's going to make me tune in next week, I'm going to tune in next week, guys. Like, it's just going to make me annoyed with the fact that, like, oh yeah, the people I thought were going to go home are going home, and now the whole episode is out of structure. So I'm not sure what the story editors are doing here, or why they feel like this is the best way on week 2 to, you know, keep the drama going. But I was terribly annoyed. I was like, oh, I have a couple minutes left. Like, okay, perfect time for a rose ceremony. And then it just ends with her, like, with her head down, kind of crying. I was like, what? Yeah. We don't need this. I do think, though, it must be because Karl must go. Like, he must go. And maybe even Aaron goes as well. And so maybe they just want one more week to just kind of milk out the drama of it all, because, like, she doesn't plan on keeping either of those two. So maybe that's why. That's the only real big reason where I can think of. They just want the extra drama episode, but I don't know.
But is anyone really thinking Karl's going to stay? Like, especially after everything? I mean, it's possible that producers will push to keep him around because he's starting all of this, but
so we start off the episode with Katie saying that she has so many options, and she kind of does, but then at the same time I feel like there's only a couple people that are really in the front running, in my opinion. So I feel like Greg is he's in there. If he doesn't make it to the final 4, I would be very surprised just by how it started in their whole interaction so far. I would think that even it's going to be good for me because Thomas, I think, is going to be kind of like the Josh Murray of it all, like everybody hating him or like seeing he's there for the wrong reasons, but she feels a connection, kind of like Andy did, and could get quite far into the end. I could definitely see that happening because it's really hard if you have a physical connection to somebody. It kind of trumps what people say because, like, they don't feel what you're feeling with them. And so I can see that her being, you know, very sexually attracted to him and it really loving the energy between the two of them. I don't think anything that anybody says is going to trump that. So I think he's going to go along for a while. I think the Virgin actually is probably going to go on for a while because we'll talk about it, but he nailed it this episode.
He did.
He did. Not that way.
No, not that way.
And who was the other person? Oh, and Catman, I think, is another person that is doing really well. Is there anybody else that's standing out for you right now?
I would put Andrew S. also in that conversation. I think he's in the pack of people that's more towards the front at this point in time, as of episode 2. So I would say I would agree with everything. I don't know about Mike. We'll see.
I think so.
But
they love it. They love the virgin having to confront this sex positive woman, like they won't let that go. But no, I don't think so. Not for a while. He's going on a 2-on-1 or something with somebody that's like very sex positive, So I loved her talking to Tayshia and Caitlin, as opposed to having just having a voiceover of what her thoughts are. I do like just the friendly conversation about it all, the banter. I do wish she was better at chatting. She's still getting comfortable, absolutely, with her role as the Bachelorette and kind of always had to speak out her feelings. So it does seem a little bit stiff to me, but I do like that better than like these voiceovers that are just telecasting, everything that's going on. So I like that. And I'm really still not missing Chris at all.
Chris who?
Who? Say who?
Yeah, no. His absence is not affecting the storytelling of the show in any way. And I think Caitlin and Tayshia are just doing their thing. And it's a different thing. And I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't stick necessarily with this format, but they're trying something and it's fine. Like, I don't think it really shows you how little the host role is in the episode. I would say they were in this just as much as Chris would have been in any episode in the past. And it's not that much and it's fine. Like, it's actually not here nor there for me. I like that Katie has someone to counsel with, as you were saying. It's a little bit nicer that she can kind of have this back and forth with these leads. So I'm curious if for Bachelor, they'll maybe like have a couple guys do that, or kind of adapt that format, or just go in a completely different direction. But as far as Chris goes, like, whatever. Like,
some people are so up in arms about it still. I'm just like, and saying like, oh, it's not serious anymore. I'm just like, what was serious ever about this show? Like, just because he comes in with a somber like head nod, does it mean that it's like a somber show?
And were you really watching this show for the seriousness? Like, there's a lot of other things on TV where you can get that. I don't think this is it. Like, a man was in a box, so I don't think it's a serious show, really.
It's not. And for the most part, like, I am optimistic for people finding connections because, I believe in energy and people kind of getting, having similar interests aligning in order to meet. And so I do think it's 100% possible to find your match or someone that you really, you destined to marry. Like, I think it is possible, but the route that they go on the journey is not that serious. And that's what we enjoy about it, is seeing the possibility on a platform that's like, just chill. And so I'm loving the vibe of this season so far. So these people that are mad, they can stay mad because the show is still pretty good. Even though I heard that the ratings are down, but I don't know if it's just the timing or if it's also Katie, because she wasn't necessarily that popular before she came, the Bachelorette. So there's a lot of other factors that they could be blaming this on,
Yeah, I think it's two things. It's like, I was reading about this last week because there's one portion when it comes to ratings, which is like the ratings have been going down for everything anyways. Like, over all of the seasons and all of the leads, it's always kind of been going down, and that's just how it's been going with TV. But then within the demographic that matters, which is the 18 to 49 demographic, the Bachelor is still performing, the Bachelorette is still performing in that number one position for the night. So for people who are buying that ad space and for important. That, it is important, and it's still performing well, given that everything is not getting as many views in the traditional sense as far as Nielsen ratings go. So I think probably less people are watching, but also less people have been watching. And that's kind of been the trend. So I don't think it's necessarily, people will try and spin it and say it's because it's Katie, it's because Chris is gone, it's because of this. It's like, not really. I'm sure it has some impact, but I don't think that exponential that we should be like crying that Chris Harrison's gone or that this lead is not good and people aren't going to watch the show. Like, people are watching the show.
Absolutely.
And that's not including streaming as well.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. I think that, just having to learn how to adapt as a network show in the era of streaming popularity. Like, I have like 10 streaming platforms. I'm like, why can't I get all my TV shows on one thing? Like, I don't need to get Hulu and Hey You and Prime, and like, I just have so many different things plus all of network television, and I still don't have enough of it. Like, I can't get everything. So I think that that's also where they're coming up. They're gonna have to figure something new out. I would never want it to be on a streaming site. I do like it being on network television. I do enjoy like the anticipation of watching it. I don't necessarily want to binge watch The Bachelorette, but they're also competing with me doing a rewatch right now of all the Below Decks. You know what I mean? Like, yes. So that's definitely, and then the fact that they can go back and watch it later if they wanted to, if they've recorded, and they're not necessarily watching it at the time slot. So, but they'll still watch the commercials. So I guess it still pays off.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's definitely something that more people maybe make an event. I think people would stream it or binge it if it was available, but I do think it's kind of like an event in the sense that like the diehard Bachelor Nation people, it's like viewing parties. It's an institution. Like, you have your Monday nights and you just watch the show, and it's kind of an event in a way. So I do think it's not necessarily a streaming show. I agree, though people would binge it as they do with anything, but it's
not even on any binge or streaming sites right now. Like, you can't go catch up. I have no idea where to catch up if I wanted to on old Bachelorette, like if I want to do a rewatch or anything like that.
I think very few seasons, maybe a couple of seasons are on US Netflix, but definitely not the full catalog or anything like that.
I kind of would love to watch the full catalog. Like, I just want to have it just maybe see some key episodes, like go back, as we've been talking about. We want to see all the different tropes and the evolution of like the editing and, what are tells of what's going to happen. So I would like to have that at my fingertips just to go back and see, like, when was the first Hooju? When did it come into play?
Historically, yes, exactly.
So we have Natalie hanging out with us. We have the Don, Milo, and Joseph. Joseph says the premiere last week did 3.77 million viewers. Claire and Tayshia's season averaged, I think, 5 million per episode, so it's down about 10%. So that's not that bad. And we're in the middle of a pandemic still, and more streaming platforms since the Claire and Tayshia season. So it's like there's just so much competition right now. And they kind of banged one out quite quickly. I feel still like I could have taken a little bit longer in between just to get excited again. Like maybe if they'd done the Bachelor and Paradise in between, just to spread out the Bachelor and Bachelorette. But they didn't do that, and so that could also be reasoning why it's not getting as many viewers, because it's just not at the time where they're used to watching the Bachelorette. Like, the Bachelorette is usually fall and winter, and then Bachelor in Paradise is summer. So this is not really the time people are watching, the Bachelorette. Because I remember in like June, July was the only show I ever watched. I was always looking forward to Big Brother because that was my only summer show, So
for sure.
Saying. So James in the box is done being the box guy. So I love that they put that in, because we'll learn why they put that in a little bit later. We get the first date card. Going on this date is going to be Christian, Garret, Trey, Quartney with a Q. Are they going to be doing that all the time, do you think?
I don't know. I'm still like trying to figure out Quartney at this point, based on something also that happens on this group date, which we'll get to, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
Mike P, James, Justin, Thomas, Conor B, and Karl. So the date card says, I'm looking for a great love, heart, Katie. I think, who read this one? Was it Justin that read it?
I'm not sure.
I don't remember, actually, but Justin is already sick of Karl, talking about he wants like Xanax or a muzzle, like something for Karl. And Karl just starts calling this whole experience a game. And that, I was like, oh boy, this is a game to him. This is going to be problematic.
My first point that I wrote is Karl is already annoying. So I agree with Justin here. And actually Justin's chirping of Karl throughout the episode was great. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with him acknowledging that it's a game. I'm just confused if it is a game for him. Like, what's his strategy? Because whatever strategy he's using is not good. So
I literally think his strategy is to get more followers and fandom. And I don't think that this is we don't believe these people are going to be winning her heart anyway. So Natalie was saying that Reality Steve said that Karl and James are already rumored to be on Paradise. I didn't think James was going to win. I didn't think Karl was going to win. So I don't feel like this is like a real spoiler, and we don't know if it's true 100% or not. Like, he wants to get on Paradise. Like, he wants to build his brand. If he's a motivational speaker, he's definitely wants to create his own reality. He wants to, like, you know, get in front of a lot of people. He wants to get that influence. So his popularity, however it comes to him, he wants those eyeballs. And so he's doing whatever it takes to be relevant. Absolutely. And maybe go out with a bang. Because, like, you know, if this is true, he's been on for an episode, and probably at that time, an episode and a half. And already he's been invited to be on Paradise. So he's done enough to move to the red, because he knows he was never going to be the one for Katie. You know what I mean?
And he was already coming into it with now it's Greg who has overtaken Karl with the most followers. But Karl actually had, I think, the most followers going into it. So this is definitely someone who's looking to use their time and leverage it. And again, there's nothing wrong with that, but I just find him to be very annoying. And it's not my kind of villain, personally. But
I mean, I'm loving him because he's on my team. I have to figure out how many points we're going to get, because he was in it for the whole episode. It was kind of like
on one.
all about Karl, the entire thing. So going to the date, we have, was it a Huju? So Natalie wants to know how many Hujus, how many run and hug jumps does Katie do? I believe she only does one this episode. And it was a half one, I would say, it was a full one. So this one had Thomas running. Next up to Thomas, I think, was probably Karl. Yes, Karl was beside it, but Thomas gets to Katie first, picks her up, hugs her. She's kind of standing straight up with her feet off the ground. And then she wraps her legs around him and then immediately back down. So it's just kind of like a quick Huju. But it was so quick.
I blinked and I was like, wait, is she up in the air? And I was so confused because I was like, she didn't run. What happened here? So he ran on that. Yeah, he ran. I know. I was so confused.
So it was, he ran, he picked her up, and then she wrapped her legs around, legs back down, put her down. So it was a new Huju. It wasn't a traditional form, but I do feel that I received some points for that one.
I think so. Yeah, that counts. Like, she did fully mount and wrap her legs around him. However she got there, So I would consider it as one. Absolutely.
Awesome. Very happy that I got the first points here for the episode. So we get to what this date is going to be, and she wants everybody to be vulnerable, open, and comfortable. And we get taken into kind of like some sort of theater room. Heather McDonald from Juicy Scoop, who's really funny. And like, I listen to her Juicy Scoop like often. She's kind of on my Rolodex of things I listen to daily. And they have like a bed, and it seems like kind of, sexy lingerie and other paraphernalia strewn about this stage. And what they're going to be doing is, what do they call it? What did they call this date? Like, what are they doing? The greatest lover?
The greatest lover of all time.
Sorry, I guess that's why I forgot. Like, it's a terrible name.
Yeah. The greatest lover of all time. Okay.
Okay, so they need to show Katie how to be the greatest lover of all time. But before this, they have very, I think, inappropriate questions, and I would even be shy to answer some of these questions just so like boldly like that. So some of the questions were, What is the largest sex organ? What are women's erogenous zones? I don't know what, something I wrote sex tools, but I don't know what the question was. What turns a woman on the most? What article of clothing? Socks, which I found was really interesting. Is it because their feet are cold, they're not going to be turned on? I
mean, I wouldn't have guessed that one. I thought that was interesting. I mean, the questions are fine. It was obviously for literally maximum embarrassment for Mike that this like even occurred, but then some of the answers I was just like, oh god, like I wouldn't know like all of them 100%, but some of them were absolutely killing me. It was just too much.
Well, it's just like, I'm still trying to figure out, what does sex positive actually mean? I don't like, does it mean like, what does it mean to Katie? I don't understand what it is. Does it just mean that like very comfortable talking about sex? Does it mean that has a lot of frequency? Like, I don't know what it actually means. And so it felt for me really uncomfortable when she's like asking like your favorite position. I'm like, it's just, I don't know. It bothered me a little bit.
No, I mean, it doesn't bother me. I think what's happening is like, okay, so I think somebody posted something and Katie reposted it with a commentary, but it was like, how could you be a role model to someone if you're talking about sex all the time, like for teenagers? And she's like, what do you think teenagers are talking about? Like, this is a really good thing for them to learn and a really good thing for them to discuss. And like, guess what? Like, that's part of life. So I think for her, without speaking for her, like sex positivity is that she's comfortable talking about it. She's also clearly like a very physical person, and that's a part of how she expresses herself. She brought the vibrator, which, is like, yes, I pleasure myself and I live my life. And I think she embraces all of those aspects. We can talk about sex comfortably, and that's totally fine. But the show, as always, with whatever the thing is, takes an idea and just milks it in a way that's not actually effective to the cause. Like, sex positivity is one thing, but then there's sex positivity in the Bachelor world, which is like them doing a challenge like this and like answering questions about vaginas. It's like, oh my god, no, I don't think that's actually what sex positivity
Thank you.
is.
Okay, thank you. Because
All.
it's just confusing me, because I'm like, most people have been pretty sex positive, I would say. They just like, that's just not the angle that the show has been pushing. So it's definitely very like annoying how, I mean, obviously they're making a show, they want to make it interesting, they want to, as you said, milk Mike being uncomfortable as the virgin, because like I wrote down even like, oh, there you go, Mike already reminds us that he's a virgin and how he's uncomfortable with doing this and he doesn't know what to write down, and he writing the question mark about like for most of the questions. And so yes, I think that they did want to really milk that portion.
The show has always historically implied sex, except for when sex is explicit, and then it either exploits it or, like, i.e., Quartney frolicking in the water with Ben F, the previous Bachelor, or like Claire allegedly having sex with Juan Pablo in the water, or fantasy suites where it's like implied that there's something sexual happening, but they always like kind of stop there and they don't go there. When it actually happens, like with Caitlyn as the Bachelorette and Nick, it's exploited and it's like used as this thing that they drive almost to like project negativity on the people that are involved, when really, if it was sex positive, it would be like, yeah, of course you're going to sleep with someone before you marry them if that's your thing. Obviously, like, you might want to know, unless you're choosing to be a virgin for whatever reason, which is fine. But like, they are always like at the doorstep of sex, and then it's like, as soon as we need to actually discuss it, it's like, no, we're not going to do that. So now they're trying to act like they're embracing this when it's not even a thing. So I appreciate the effort, but like, I don't think it's necessarily really lending itself to the conversation of sex positivity in an actual way. It's just like Bachelor sex positivity with like a rainbow.
Yes. So Sam says the sex positive Katie is really forced. In 2021, using a vibrator is not that uncommon, but I guess because most women don't own it. No, it was a gimmick that she came on the show with that she had to continue, I think, like, talking about, you know? It was her gimmick.
There's no doubt people need to talk about sex more, because look at things like 50 Shades of Grey as a book becoming so popular. It's like, it's just something that people do want to express. And then when these things blow up, it's almost like, oh, this is something that we could talk about, but it's safe because it's a book and it's fiction. And like, we all feel engaged and like able to discuss it in that forum. So I think, do we need to evolve to a place where we can discuss sex more frankly? Yes, absolutely. And you're right. It's not uncommon that people would have a vibrator. And it's not uncommon, I don't even think, amongst people of our age, that people wouldn't own it. But we're just starting to get to a place where we're moving like past like the 2000s, where it's like slut shaming is so prevalent in that era. And it's obviously very, very double standard when it comes to men versus women in that conversation, and even the way the media portrays people and everything. It's all changing, but there's still a lot of work to do to shift that. So yeah, that's where I'm at with that.
So Joseph is saying, hi, Joseph. Outside being billed as sex toy Katie, what does she bring to the Bachelorette? She finished 12th in Matt James's season. I'm not sure if she was the pick. Felt like they wanted to go with Michelle, but Michelle said no. Well, Michelle is apparently doing it later on in the summer, and maybe it's because she didn't want to disrupt her work flow as a teacher. I mean, I totally agree with you. Like, I don't know if she actually was the pick. And I think it was because they wanted to have a big, like, they're like, oh, sex toy Katie. Yeah. And, ooh, she's also like standing up for women. And I think that they just wanted to move in that direction and have some, like, a big idea that they can get behind that can just distract us from all like the race talk that was going on with Matt James's season. I think it was completely just to have something bigger to kind of overshadow anything that might have negative or, you know, unwanted that might have come out of the past 2 seasons. So
it's a gimmick they can market, right? Like, it's a thing that they can have be their thing for this season.
So sex positive will be definitely added to the Merriam-Webster as part of the new word for 2021. You're very funny, BB, and it probably will be kind of like right beside woke, you know? Woke police. Ooh.
I think part of it is like, yeah, it's also the way that you talk about sex positivity is in the name. Like, that you're bringing positive conversation to the topic of sex. It's not something that's shameful or something that you need to be embarrassed by. I think that's part of why it is. But again, do we think this date is doing that? Like, do you think this date is really a great example of just being positive about sex? It's like, it's whack is what it is.
Definitely. I wrote down so awkward. Okay, so let's hear what these guys have done. I'm giving you some points here for Mr. Conor B. He plays the guitar. So Catman, like, usually I hate serenades. Like, obviously they're usually cringeworthy. But I felt that he was really funny. Like, he rhymed it quite quickly. He, you know, had the amazing with my fingers lines that landed really well, especially with Katie. And she had Tayshia and Caitlin listening on as well. And so I think that it was a successful way to show how he was going to be the best lover ever. Best. Is that what it was?
Greatest lover of all time.
Greatest lover of all time. Greatest lover of all. Okay. So you're happy that you get your 5 points there?
Yeah, I'm thrilled. It's also better than anything Jed ever did. So I respect it. I think Conor has a level of self-awareness, and as evidenced by his cat costume and by this, I think it actually makes him stand out that he's just doing his thing, because all of these other like buff dudes kind of blend together for me, and he actually is someone that I remember because he's just leaning into those things that make him an individual. And I think that's what really works for Katie too. So good job, Conor. This would normally very much be an embarrassing thing to watch, and I think it was actually, to your point, funny and like pretty well done. So
in like however much time they gave them to come up with this, I was like, it was good. That was I was okay with that. I don't remember what Christian did in the beginning, but he ends with ripping off his pants. All right. I mean, I love seeing a tearaway pant moment. I wish that maybe I don't wish, but I do wish it was a Magic Mike moment, like getting her on a chair and like ripping off the pants and doing a really uncomfortable dance. I mean, I would have cringed. I would have appreciated the 5 points. But like, I love making use of tearaway pants. So that was, I enjoyed that. Trey, I thought Trey was excellent here. He did a puppet sex show with the safe word being peaches. Garret did something with a blindfold. I was like, I'm not sure what's happening here. Don't care.
Unclear.
And this is probably where you wanted to talk about Quartney with the cue relating to the carrot that he had in his hand.
Well, there was that, but then also what I was talking about was how he answered the question. I think it was like, what is like the largest female sex organ in the body? And on his thing, he put it like got blanked out. And then in brackets, it said, especially if she's on steroids. And I was like, are you referring to the clitoris? And if so, like, lol, that ABC decided to blank that out.
It's a sex positive,
a clinical term
ABC
to refer to that part.
Cannot write the word or have the word clitoris be written on a whiteboard.
Yeah, like that was very confusing for me. So that was some really interesting insight into his personality. I was like, what's going on here, really? But yes, the carrot as well. I was just like, okay.
Well, and like,
whatever.
Okay, so how did he get the carrot? Was there like a bunch of carrots, or like did he choose that particular carrot, or did he ask for the carrot? Like, how did the carrot become part of this showing?
There must have been just like a bowl or props table of phallic like fruits, because Karl also had those bananas, and that's the only thing I could think of is just like production like made some intern go grab like a bunch of groceries that are all like long, so that they could use them.
Where was the eggplant? Like,
maybe it was there. Maybe it was there and it just didn't make the cut. Maybe no one decided to use it. Missed opportunity, quite frankly.
Also kind of awkward. So it's similar to the reading of Chris Harrison's erotic novel last season. We have the men that weren't on this date in the audience. So I also think that that's just a little bit uncomfortable. I know they want to fill the room and it's quarantined, so like you can't get like a live audience, but like it's still weird to see all of your friends like try to seduce your girlfriend. It's just weird. Very strange. Justin, I do love Justin, but he gives a foot massage, not really landing with me. Like he could have done something a little more interesting, I think. Thomas, he pulls out the vibrator and says, "You're not going to need this anymore." Okay. James, I thought had the winning gimmick here with his dick in a box, like the SNL skit that I've seen that skit like 1,000 times. Me and my best friend Anna used to always like do the Maya face when she's like dick in the box face, and we used to call it the dick in the box face, and we would do it all the time. And like I guess it was about 10 years ago. Oh my gosh. So I love Dick in the Box. I love that reference. I feel like it didn't get as much appreciation as it should. Were they too young to get it?
I don't know that they're too young to get it, but I was just like, if you're trying to distance yourself from the box, then why did you use a box here? Like his whole thing was like, I don't want to be the box guy anymore. But he's like, actually, for this one, let's bring the box back. It's good. It's good for this challenge. I'm like, okay, sure.
I mean, he's the only person that could do the ball. If somebody else did it, obviously it would be funny, but like it's helping him land this joke. He'll have to do it probably one more time to really get the laugh. But I thought that it was witty, quite smart. I giggled. I'm not really into him, but like he showed off he has a nice body, and I think Dick in the Box is funny. So I gave him just like a winky point for being on my team. And then we get Karl. What was that?
Honestly, like this reminds me of being in school, being in theater school, and like when somebody goes up and does like an improv exercise that's just not landing and goes on for too long, it's like watching someone drown. It's like literally like, oh my, or like watching someone bomb and stand up. It's just like, make it stop, like literally make it stop. And to the point that he was being heckled by the guys after a while because they were just like, this is ridiculous. But I was listening to Juliet Littman's podcast, Bachelor Party, and she had Nick Viall on it. And he was saying that, because he's like guesting on the next episode or whatever, that apparently Karl was doing this for like 30 minutes. Like literally it went on for way too long and like way longer than everybody else. And it's just like, at that point, you're just like, get out of here. Like, you have no idea what you're saying. None of this is landing. And you're supposed to be a motivational speaker. Like right now, I have the least faith in that career for you based on your ability to speak in front of this group of people. Like, it was just bad. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it was awkward. It wasn't funny. He made a spelling error. There's a lot of people saying the wrong words to this episode. So I don't know what suffocate is, but at least like Caitlin was able to make a pun out of it. It was just like
it's a mess.
It could have been okay. Like, I like the idea of the whiteboard, which is him leaning into his, presentation type career. But then I didn't get the cardboard cutout, and I didn't get the banana. So does he want to rub his dick over her tits? Like, what? I didn't get the banana. I didn't get shaking the cutout. It was just so bad. It wasn't well planned out. It wasn't funny. It didn't make me feel comfortable. It didn't make me want to get to know you more. It just made me want to be like, stop. I don't want to be around you or see you ever again. This is terrible. So sorry, Karl. That was
It's just one of those things where you should like choose something and just like simplify and just try and make it memorable. Try and make it like sincere in some way. Or if you're going to do something that's like more of a memorable gimmicky thing, just like pick like the box as an example. Okay, great. You did the dick in a box thing and that was your thing and we get it and it's good. Like, it seems like Karl just doesn't really know what direction he's going and was just trying to do everything. And it, to me, just came across as like, who do you think you are? Like, read the room. This is it. Who is this for? Is this for you? Like, it's not for any of us. It's not for Katie. This is weird.
So weird. It wasn't well thought out. It didn't have a point. It was just like trying to make people uncomfortable, I think. I don't even know.
Have a point. It did
it
not
was
have
just
a point.
bad. I do love Heather McDonald coming in being like, peaches, peaches, peaches. I think it was to make that stop, whatever that was. Make it stop. And then I'm going to give you 5 points here for Mike. So Mike calls Katie up onto the stage. And I'm not usually one that likes these like romantic letters in this kind of way. It's just like usually the person receiving it is uncomfortable. But he did it in a way that I was very impressed by. He wrote a letter to his future wife and kind of put elements of Katie into this letter to say that if this is her, this is what makes him the greatest lover, is that he's kind of waiting to give this all to her. So I thought that his approach was really good because I know he was really worried about how he was going to come across with all these guys that are so forward sexually. I thought it really landed. What did you think?
I thought it really landed too. I actually... he just came across as like actually really feeling clearly very physically uncomfortable with everything that was happening in terms of the situation that he was put in. And I almost feel like the way this played out kind of took away some of the power that production normally has over this virgin like idea. And I will fully admit to being complicit about this because we've been talking about like, I fully drafted him hoping that there would be some kind of religious, and then like the virgin thing came about. And it's very exploited usually in The Bachelor, which is fine. But it's not to say that it's not okay for someone to choose to be a virgin. That's fine. But for him, it just felt very true. I feel like his reasoning was very sincere. And he really came across super well in just being honest with that. And this normally would be something that would come out later down the line, like several episodes down the line. So I'm just wondering if it's like, is this to the advantage of production to have him have revealed it sooner because he becomes this figure that's more appealing to the broad audience that watches this show? Or is this kind of like disempowering what they would normally do to exploit the virgin storyline by him just saying, I'm just going to own it now, and I'm just going to be real with Katie now, and that's the best way for me to address it? I'm not sure, because he also has the second highest growth in followers besides Greg. So it's resonating with people. Like, the position he's in, how he stands, how he's represented himself is resonating with people, and probably people that are more traditional viewers of the show. So I don't know.
I'm feeling, because there was from the season long preview, it seems as though he gets caught up in something emotionally. So I'm not sure if he loses his virginity or if he's, maybe they get to a point where it's close, but then he pulls back, or whatever, something happens. And so maybe that becomes more of the storyline of him being tempted, or him, making a decision, like, you know what I mean? So maybe that's where the storyline goes, as opposed to the whole thing about him being abstinent. So I'm interested to see what happens, and I never usually care. So
yeah.
They're winning here. Natalie would have liked it if Mike sang Like a Virgin by Madonna to Katie. How do you think this would have gone over?
I mean, I think it would have been interesting for sure. I think his approach really stood out because everybody else was after the nonsense Karl was doing, something like just being true to yourself. And again, like I said with Conor, that seems to resonate with Katie. Just like people owning who they are in some way, because that's kind of like her thing too, is just like, I stand for what I stand for. This is what I believe in. And I don't, I'm not looking for people that aren't going to be real. So I don't know that would have made him win the challenge in the way that him just being honest made him win the challenge.
True. And yeah, I totally agree that what he did the exact right thing for him to do this well in this episode. So, you're going to get 5 points from me for that letter, because it's kind of like a serenade type thing. So yeah, I liked it. And then also he does receive the greatest lover of all time. I guess you're going to get another point there, huh? Just racking them in. Okay. So the nighttime of this group date portion, we see Catman having one of the first conversations with Katie, and it was kind of awkward. I don't really enjoy their interaction so much. Like, I don't know, it's just a little bit too awkward for me. And then him asking if he could redo the kiss because they didn't have the pause on. And then I was like, I thought she liked the pause, and so I was kind of confused. I'm like, wait, do you like the cat or do you not like the cat? Or like, that he did the cat, or like what? Anyways, what did you like about the damn cat? And then I didn't really enjoy the kiss. Or maybe I just don't enjoy how Katie kisses most people, but I didn't really like their lip lock session.
She's very into the makeouts, which I love that for her. If that's her thing, go for it. But at one point he was like literally like clutching her head, and I was like, I don't know.
It was just like
it was a lot. But this seems to be common with her kisses with people, is they're like very physically involved. So I think that's maybe her style of kissing, and the men are just like, oh, okay, we're doing this. Like, let's go.
It doesn't look enjoyable to me personally, but hopefully it is.
I mean, whatever works.
So one thing though that Conor says, he's like, oh, well, like, I used to be Catman, but like, she's like, oh, but now you're Conor the musician. So this, I think she really, really liked learning that he was a musician. I guess like, I'm just so used to everybody that I know being really talented that I'm just like, okay, like, who cares? Like, he played the guitar and the piano. Like, it didn't really sing that amazing of a song. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was great, but like, I know somebody's so much more talented that I'm just like, I'm not that. And I was like, wow. Oh my God, you can play the guitar and sing and write a little limerick? Like, I just don't think it's that.
Compared to what was happening with some of the other dudes, I guess it is pretty impressive relative to, you know, the nonsense that was going down.
So interjecting this episode or this date, we get the next date card. David reads this one, and it says, Greg, let's let our love run wild. So 5 points there for you. Again, eye roll for me. So Greg is surprised, as well as some of the other bachelors, Brendon especially, that he got the first impression rose and he got the first solo date. So do you think that he should have maybe chosen someone else for the one-on-one date, or do you think that it's all fair in love and the Bachelorette?
I'm wondering if it's relative to what the date, like, I'm not sure if the order is what's picked, or like the date is matched to the person and then the order is kind of according to that, because it seemed like she really wanted him to be on this date with her, because this date was very meaningful to her, as we'll find out and discuss as we go on. Because normally it's like, that's a lot. Like, he's a very clear front runner at this point. It's like, he got the first impression rose and he got this first date. And I'm like, okay, is anyone else like really in contention? Because this is a very strong start for him and a very strong start for their relationship. So yeah, it does feel very unbalanced in that way.
I don't know who said it, but I thought it was a good line. Someone said, time is money and the rich just got richer. And I was like,
yeah, exactly.
True. Facts here. And so I don't know when he said this, but we're back to Mike now. I was talking to Katie, saying that he has a lot of pent-up energy. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to hear about how like sexually frustrated he is. Like, I don't want to know about how pent-up his energy is because he's a virgin. That's not really, I don't care.
I was like, no, that's fine. Like,
please no. Trey, she loved his puppet show, and he seemed surprised that she would. But like, I thought it was cute. I thought it was funny. I thought that it was a perfect thing to do in that kind of moment. I think that he really landed it. And Karl, I remember in the date, was pretty jealous of Trey, like doing so well with the puppet. So I think Karl's just not funny. And
no, Karl's not funny.
But Karl also thinks that he's the best match for Katie. Now, is this because, like, okay, with motivational speaking, you're supposed to like become what you believe and like put your thoughts in line with what your desired outcome? And so, is he trying to, motivate himself into believing that he's a front runner?
Maybe. I mean, I find it hard to believe that he believes even what he's saying. It feels like he's playing a character. Like, it feels like he's
Swizz.
Oh yeah, Swizz, of course. How could I forget? Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, that's also so random. Like, none of it connects. He's just like, I'm gonna have a comic. I'm gonna do this for this date. I'm gonna say this at the rose ceremony. I'm gonna tell Katie that. It's like, what are all these things, Karl? They don't make sense.
Not a real person.
They don't make sense.
Not real.
Not authentic.
And this is another thing that's kind of annoying about Karl as well, is that he doesn't actually say anything. So he has a little one-on-one moment with Katie, and he asked her about when her last relationship was, and she said 2 years ago. And he said, how about you? And she's like, oh, I can't get into my last relationship. I want to talk about you. And I was like, wait, what? Like, in having a conversation about, your past, your history, what you like, talking about her moving forward, she wants to kind of know about where you were in the past a little bit. And like, if you're going to ask that question, just expect that she's going to want to know that information from you as well. And so he just completely deflects it, wanting to get into his new relationship. And then he pulls out fuzzy, purpley pink handcuffs. Sorry, like, do you want to be handcuffed to Karl?
No. And again, what? Like, I'm not following the story. What's going on? Like, I don't get it.
This is the adventures of Katie and Swizz. It has to do with fuzzy handcuffs. What?
Not an adventure I care for whatsoever.
Like, if I was choosing my own adventure, I would not choose that option.
Not choose. Yeah, I would end the story there and close the book. We're done.
And so thank goodness that Hottie McTottie Thomas waltzes in and steals Katie away from Karl. Karl throws the handcuffs over his shoulder and leaves Thomas to Katie. And Katie is really into him.
Yeah, that was intense.
She's heart eyes, like, she's like, I just have this connection with you. Like, I just like can't stop thinking about you, and I just don't like know what it is. I can't like, and he's just kind of smiling, like he knows that he's got this. Like he's this isn't a new thing for him. I don't think, to have a woman being like, I just like, you're just so hot. You know what?
I mean, first of all, like he like literally, was it him that like lifted her onto his like lap as that makeout continued?
I think she hopped on.
Okay, like they were into it. It was a very physical connection that they clearly have. But much like his counterpart, Josh Murray, I don't trust this guy.
No, I know,
There's something so off about this dude. And I know in the preview we finally do get like a little bit of a seed of doubt planted about his intentions. But something about this, it's kind of like that love bombing approach where it's just like, everything about you I love, and everything that you are is exactly what I want, and you're perfect, and you're this, and you're there's something like, I don't know about
you're too good to be true here, buddy-o.
Seems not quite right to me.
I totally,
even though he's saying everything right, I don't believe it 100%.
Sometimes I do, when I look at him, I'm kind of like, I feel that he's surprised by how easy this is to get her to like him so much. Again,
yeah, he's barely done anything. He's just been like, I love you. And she's like, okay.
I mean, you can't help when somebody has a physical connection to somebody.
No.
And
they clearly do.
He must feel something with her as well. Like, I don't think that kind of vibe is only one-sided. He could be putting it on a little bit, but I think that there is something going on that she is picking up, and that he's playing into. And so I don't think that she's the love of his life, like he's kind of professing, but I do think that they have some sort of connection that maybe he's a little bit didn't expect to have, because he does seem surprised by how into him she is. But
they're definitely
so hot.
I'm so intrigued by this, because I don't know. Maybe I'm just so like burned by Josh existing and grossing me out so much that I just can't get
Josh,
past
though. I'm sorry. Like,
yeah, that's like, different strokes for different folks. Like, no disrespect, but it's not my type at all. I don't think there's something so off-putting about it to me. I don't know what it is, but like, I guess of course he's obviously attractive. Like, if you had to say, like, of course he obviously is like, looks like tall, fit, like handsome.
He seems hyper masculine to me, and maybe that's what I like. He's like, and that's usually what I vibe with, is somebody that's very like, not getting in fights at bars with people, kind of masculine, but like someone that, would make me feel protected. Like, he has that energy, and I think that that's something also that Josh has. And it's like, I feel it's like when they're interested in you, it's like you become just in their world, and like you feel kind of safe and protected. So I think that that's the energy of both those guys that I resonate with, that like I find is really attractive. I think so. I'm trying to say
that's fine. No, that's fine. Everyone's got their different types of people, and that's cool. But I don't trust Thomas one bit. Not one bit.
Never ever be like even a little bit kind of thinking about Catman. You know what I mean? Like, this is like not even like a droplet of me would be like, ooh, Catman. Like, it's just no. So yeah, definitely different strokes for different folks. So we go on we have the group date Rose coming around, and my boy Thomas, who, when he just feels something, gets the group date Rose. So I was happy about that. Karl's
you get points for that, right? You get points for that?
Yeah, I do. We're doing 5 points for everything. So Karl is pissed. And he's gonna have to fix this at the cocktail party. It's like, what do you
God.
mean fix what at the cocktail party? Like, oh gosh, Karl. I think I should get 5 points for Karl though for the whole episode because it doesn't really have a. Oh, I guess maybe he has a fight.
He has a fight. Yeah, he does.
So Katie pulls up for the one-on-one date in a red pickup truck. I thought the pickup truck is cute. I like that she was actually driving it. I would have liked it if it was standard. I couldn't tell if it was or not, but like to see her drive stick would be kind of cool. I don't know how it happened, but while all the men were kind of outside on kind of like a little terrace, James falls through one of the panels. How did that happen?
Yeah. Like the chair broke, maybe?
Yeah. Just kind of collapsed that way. I was like, what? I thought it was like a I don't know. I thought it was something else, but it was very bizarre. They showed up wearing matching outfits, and she re-pulled out that hideous, in my opinion, brown plaid crop jacket from the opening episode, and she wore it again, but he wore a similar one that was like matching. What did you think about their couples matching outfits?
I thought that was kind of cute. I mean, I don't know. It's like one of those accidental matching things. I'm sure she was styled or like they pulled that look for her. I think something was really funny to me about him, like not necessarily putting together that outfit, because this is a thing that people wear and layer in that way, but his new boots, where he was like, I got new boots. And I was just like, what's happening?
Well,
like,
maybe
okay.
If I was going on The Bachelorette, or if I was going even on Big Brother, I would do a complete wardrobe.
I would buy a whole new stuff. Yeah, for sure.
It would be like, okay, let's take $5,000 or whatever, and like just like head to toe outfits, looks. Like I would definitely be buying some new boots. So,
yeah. Well, it's also like everyone has their stuff, and I like the stuff that I own, but there's not like 5 cocktail dresses that I would bring. I would need to like get stuff for different themes and make sure that I feel like my fits are on point for that. So I respect it. I respect the move. I thought they both looked cute. And yeah, I think it was cute that they were matching. I don't know.
So I just want to before we get into this date, because like we're talking a lot about Karl, just like seeing what Joseph wrote here. So Karl should have been sent home, but his desperation to gain followers is what's keeping him in the game. I won't feel bad when he comes to his senses. Bye, Felicia. Absolutely, bye, Felicia. But this is the thing: is that they're not paid to come on The Bachelor or The Bachelorette. They have to kind of give up their whole life. Like if they have a job, put their job on hold for a few months. Like I don't even think they get a stipend. Like they have to bring wardrobe. So like I've heard that there's been upwards of thousands and thousands of dollars that the women have to bring with all the cocktail dresses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure that the producers are even saying to them as a way to entice them to want to come on this show for free, like, hey, like people that are popular, they get endorsement deals and they're able to make a lot of money after the show. And so like the fact that people are kind of getting penalized for them probably being sold on the idea of coming onto the show for what they could potentially get after out of it because they're not getting any money for being there. Like, I feel like they're setting up these people for being in this type of place. Like, I'm sure like Thomas's producers, like, hey man, if it doesn't work out with you and Katie, like who knows? Like maybe you're gonna be the Bachelor next. Like who knows what they're selling to their people. And so it just frustrates me a little bit that like they're not getting paid, they're giving up their life. They don't need to be like, I'm all in for Katie. They don't know her. They don't know if they're gonna marry her. They're coming on the show with good intentions, hopefully that maybe they have a connection and a spark, but hopefully that it's going to be worth their time coming there.
Yeah, and if you're not there for good intentions and you are there for the follows, then you're there for the follows, and that's what it is. Like lots of people clearly go on this show for that at this point. I just think there's better ways of getting your following to grow than whatever this attempt is, but Like, if you're not there for the right reasons, and that's, that's the theme that we see come time and time again. I mean, it is a reality show at the end of the day. So I do think the amount of people that are there for the right reasons is much less than the people that are there for the wrong ones or to gain the exposure. For some people, they can turn that into some lucrative moments for them or extend their 15 minutes as much as possible. Mm-hmm. You could be dating Gigi Hadid at the end of this if you're Tyler Cameron. So really, sky's the limit. But like
playing basketball with Bieber, like come on.
our good friend Matt, just thriving.
So back to Greg and Katie's date, and a lot of it was kind of centered around her as a child going fishing with her father. Her father has passed away about 10 years ago, and she seemed to have like a really strong connection with her father. They would go fishing and they wouldn't, and camping, I guess, and they wouldn't shower, and they'd have to make their own toilet. And so part of their date was creating a toilet by cutting a hole in a bucket and sticking it in over a hole. What did you think about that part of the date? What do you think about the fact that they had a kiss while he was testing out the toilet? What do you think about that whole part of the date?
I was like, oh, okay, perfect. This will be a moment that he references later on as being like one of the ways that their relationship began. Like, like later on when they meet the family or like whatever.
We were sitting on the toilet.
We were sitting on the toilet when we had our first kiss. Ha ha ha. That's like our little inside thing that we have. I was like, this is so perfectly played out. And I don't know. The thing with Greg, so did you hear about the rumors that like he's an actor or like
I didn't hear what the actual rumor was. So tell me what the rumor was. I just heard that there's buzz around it. People
like maybe he went to theater school or something, or he went to acting school or whatever. I don't know. But either way, this was a really well done date in the sense that it felt very real and it felt very emotional and connected. And there was like those, they shared with each other some deep stuff. But then I was also like, this is so perfectly calculated in the sense that I could see later down the line how this is like the foundation for where this is going to progress. And I can see just like all those little moments and I can see it all playing out. It just like felt very, I don't know. It was just well executed. I don't know how else to say it. And I don't know like what level of awareness he had in that or not. I think he's like constantly towing this line where people believe and are into it. Clearly, he's got named the most followers out of anyone so far. He's that Bachelor guy, that person that just like gets all these followers and people just are really into and obsessed with and resonate with. And he is just doing it so well. So I find it hard to believe that he is not somewhat aware of that, but it's being played in a way where I'm like, I believe this. Like, I believe the connection, I believe the moments, I believe it all. Like, and that's what you need to do if you want to make it far and if you want to make it to the end.
She even says to him that I see you as someone going far. Like, that basically says that like she sees him final 2 or final 4 at least, I mean, he's front runner obviously, but like, yeah, to tell him that, is that's a big move, giving him that the one-on-one date right after giving the first impression round, big move. So I'm hoping that he's still like, he's actually being fully genuine here, because like, if he's not, and that they break up, I think that will be like the heartbreaking like moment, like worse than Brendon breaking up with like Tayshia. Like, ooh. So I hope this.
And they're editing this based on what they know the ending to be. So I'm just wondering what they're setting us up for. Like, is it like, because it's too obvious to be like, well, he's gonna win, and then he just wins. Like there's gotta be, it's the Bachelorette. Like there's gotta be something more to it. So what is it? Is it that like he's the clear front runner, kind of like
he the one that really is there for the followers? Is it him?
Or is it like does he leave? Does he come back? Like does he like what happens? Because it's not gonna be just as clear as he's the obvious favorite and then he stays the favorite and then she picks him at the end. I just feel like they wouldn't they wouldn't do that. So I'm wondering where we're going with this. But I do think that the connection is very much there for her.
There is a moment though where she kind of walks off or something. I can't do this anymore. So I'm wondering if maybe he turns down a rose or says like, I'm so sorry, Katie, like, I can't do this. Like, I want to be there with you, but I'm not ready or whatever it is. And like, it gets close to the end and does I can't do this. Ooh!
Yeah, like, is it like an Ali Fedotowsky and Frank situation, or like an Ashley H and Bentley situation where it's like they're so into this person and then like they go, or like a Brooks and Desiree situation? Like, what's it gonna be? Because it can't just be that she picks him. If it is, I'll eat my words 100%. But like, I feel like there's got to be more to it.
Well, they know what happens in the season. They wouldn't be showing us this if they want to have any sort of suspense, right? So they're building us up to tear this relationship down. It has to break, or something has to happen. Something has to test it. He's the front runner. I see you at the end. Like, if you see him at the end, he's probably not going to be there because there's no way they would keep in that sound clip. Like, if it wasn't going to be altered in some sort of way. So I 100% agree with you that like they are setting us up for this relationship to fall. They know what they're doing in this sense. Like, just don't give it to be continued, and I'm okay with you guys. So we get another date card during this date, and it's going to be John, Andrew S., Kyle, Josh, Aaron, Brendon, Hunter, and Cody. So Michael's the only person that didn't get a date. What's the point of this?
I'm guessing like maybe he'll get a one-on-one. That was my thought. Next. Yeah. Like, I think he was thinking, I'm left out. Although they have done that sometimes where like some people just don't go on the group dates. So they kind of have a week where they're like not in a date, especially early on. But I was thinking maybe he'll end up getting a one-on-one or something, and that it wasn't necessarily a bad thing that he wasn't on this, but I don't know. TBD.
Like, he could have been on that first date, like, or maybe she didn't put him on the first date because he has a child. I don't know if it's a daughter, a child, and maybe didn't want the child to be seeing him in that light. Because remember that there was that consideration with Youssef and how he didn't want to be on the date where they were stripping down to the jockstrap or nude, and so she chose for him to not be on that because she didn't want his daughter to see that. And so maybe there was that similar consideration, not going on like that's overtly sexual date, just because maybe she didn't want to put him in an uncomfortable situation. So maybe that was something. I didn't think about that till now. So, and then it needs to be an even number of guys for the other thing. So
yeah, I guess we'll see if he again ends up getting a one-on-one next week, or if he just ends up being on the group date, but we'll see. Or if he stays, but I imagine he will.
I think he's going to stay. So night portion of the one-on-one is when Greg also relates to the fact that a couple of years ago he did experience the loss of his father. So they're able to bond and connect in this way. And this is very important for, building that relationship. You do get 5 points here again for sharing a deep story, something really emotionally driven. That is going to be part of the lexicon of their relationship, is their connection here with both of them losing their fathers. And like, I thought that, like, I do think that they get along really well. I do think it was a nice date. I wasn't kind of like, wow, like this connection, but I think that they like each other. I think that it's going well. She talks a lot about feeling comfortable around him and enough to be able to speak this way, and I think that's really important. So, and he wants to be that person that she feels comfortable going to with this type of topic. So I thought it bode well for their relationship, and of course he got the rose on this date, and no surprise there.
I appreciate Katie's ability to kind of set very clear expectations. So she said even from the start of this date that this was a very meaningful date to her, connected to her father in this way, and that was really important. And I think that kind of sets herself up to have good boundaries in place to be able to facilitate these types of conversations, like the opposite of the Matt or the Claire situation where someone's revealing something deeply personal and that there's trauma with, where it's like these two, it felt like reciprocal and safe to share that they have this thing that kind of bonds them, this experience that bonds them in a way, because they've both gone through losing their father. And I was like, you know what, this is actually like really maybe it's just the music underscoring it, or the level of emotion that they both had. But I was actually like, I felt for them. Like that's hard. That's really, really hard. And if that is something that they can hold space for each other and comfortably hold space for each other for, then I think that that's actually also really good foundation for a relationship as well. So I thought it was nice. And then I like that he like hugged her. Like he didn't go in for a kiss after they had these like deep reveals. It was just like an actual like hug, like I'm here for you, like we're holding each other and we're just like going through this moment. I thought it was really nice. So,
yeah, I caught that
whatever they're selling, I'm buying. Like,
it's not. There's no sparks, and I'm not like woo, but like I do feel that it's a nice relationship that's building. It's nice. I wasn't sure. I might be calling a slight bullshit on him saying like his dad used to wake him up at 6 a.m. to go fishing. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, maybe it happened, but it just seemed too exactly perfect that like, you know, that they had that exact similarity. But
yeah, and you go fishing, but you know like nothing else about being in the outdoors. Like you've never pitched a tent. You've never, like, I don't know. Maybe it was just day.
I mean, I'm a city girl, like, and I know how to put together one of those tents. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I was like, But I think that's part of his like, oh, I'm so like shy, relatable guy. Like, let's do this together. Like, you've never done this before. I think that's like all part of the Greg package, right? So
all right. But okay, I think that I'm gonna have to give you another 5 points here because they go to the tailgate and there is fireworks that happens when she gives him the rose. So, I mean, I didn't have it on the list before, but fireworks definitely is a very important, I think, with people that are front runners. The front runners get the fireworks because they always want the people back at the mansion, like, to see it go off, which they did. And they're like, oh my God, he got fireworks. He's a shoo-in for a while. So
totally. On the first date, fireworks. Wow. Like that's wow.
So BB saying the contestants should start a union, LOL. Well, and you know what though? If it was union, so AFTRA in the States or SAG, like I think that like they would get some primo people in there. Like they might have more actors, but like they would be very attractive. Like they would go there emotionally. I wouldn't be surprised. So they might get some hits if they go union, and then people would get paid at least their $1,000 a day or whatever the agreement would be. But I would love.
They always talk about that on Game of Roses, where it's like if the contestants unionize, then they can actually like impact what happens in the show. And like an example is all of the contestants like standing together last year in light of everything that happened with Chris and just being like, we the men of season blah blah blah, or the women of season whatever, I don't know what number season we're on, my apologies, like don't condone like what was said, we stand with everyone, and like that actually did have some level of impact because Chris is not here anymore. So it's an interesting concept. I wonder if it would ever happen.
Should I try to start like a union for like, you know, reality television? Like
reality contestants?
Like, because they sign away everything, and people, they can use their likes in any sort of way. They can cut and edit like however they want. They can sound like Frank and bite their words in any way that they want. There needs to be a little bit of accountability for the networks, I think, in people's characters and like the damage that sometimes these storylines can cause for these people after. I don't think that they're taking in consideration ever how damaging their edits might be to this person as on a whole. And so I think that they need to be held responsible a little bit for some of that. So that's where a union would step in for sure. Why be a contestant for no pay? Exactly. Like that's one of the reasons why I'd be like, maybe I'll go on there because like maybe I'll have the chance of being the Bachelorette and then I'll make some money. But like, I doubt that they're going to find somebody that like I'd be a match with. You know what I mean? To be honest. So I get
it's a scam. It's a scam. It's like, come on this show, you'll be famous, you'll be good, you'll be nice, and then you're out night one. Or like, you get a terrible edit. Like, they want you to think that it's so worth it just to be on it, and to gain that exposure is like invaluable, when really at the end of the day they're just gonna use you for whatever they need to do to keep the show interesting and to keep the ad money coming in. So
they don't have to pay you anything for all that you're going to be bringing to their show. And you might get some endorsement deals or whatever, and like, Fashion Nova, like influencer or whatever. But like, it would be great though. If they got $1,000 a week, it would make it, I think, worth it. And I think you'd have less people specifically going there for all these followers, because it'd be like, hey man, like it's not the greatest amount of money, but like $1,000 a week, that's not so bad. Like, that's worth it for me to go on this journey. So I think it would get a lot of more authenticity. But I don't even care. Like, go on for whatever reason you want. So Christian also has a lot of followers. I haven't seen how many followers. I should go take a look soon about everybody and maybe make a chart, a weekly chart, if I can be disciplined enough to do that. But
yeah, he does. He has the third most out of everyone, out of the men this year. So Greg is obviously first. Currently, he has 104,089 followers. He gained almost 19,000 this past week. And for context, Katie's only gained herself about like just under 10,000 this past week. So he's like, his chart is like on the rise. Karl already had a bunch of followers, but he's got the next most at about 40,000, and then Christian has 18,000 and almost 3,000 gained. So interesting, very interesting.
What's Katie at now?
Katie's at 660,364.
Okay. I'm looking forward to this, Natalie, though, because that means that if we get a shirtless Christian, I'm going to get 5 points next week. Yay. Natalie also has a little prediction here, as she believes that Michael's going to want to go home because he misses his family. I don't know. Maybe.
Possible.
I don't not see that, but I feel like he wants to be there, though, unless he's trying to, like, fall on his sword if he knows that he's going to be going home, like maybe be like to make him look a certain way. But I feel like he wants to be there right now. I feel like he wants to make it work with Katie, So, oh my God. So the next part has some of my favorite part and my least favorite part about this episode. So we see Tayshia and Caitlin coming in with pots and pans, which I hate, to wake up the men, tell them that they can't dress, like they had to come with them just as they are to, I guess, I don't know, where were they? A corral? I don't know what that was, but
yeah.
In the dirt?
I guess.
I don't know.
A rodeo? Like, I have no idea.
But I have to say, I want Tayshia's jacket. It was fire.
Oh, and
I love the fringe. And I loved Caitlin's jumpsuit. I was like, I'm into that jumpsuit. I'm always into a one piece. Like, acid wash, give it to me. Like,
denim moment, yeah.
It was a good denim moment for me, for sure. So, yeah, they weren't allowed to put any shirts on or whatnot, but so some men were already wearing shirts. I'm sure some men put on shirts. What do I get to get some points here, or all of us who had men without shirts on?
I mean, I don't know.
I don't think for everybody doing the mud wrestling, spoiler alert, that's what they do on this date. Yeah. I don't think everybody gets points there, but there was 3 people that came out. So Aaron was shirtless, so that's for you. Brendon was for me, and I think Hunter's mine actually as well. So those are the 3 men that had their shirts off when they went to meet up with Katie after being woken up by the ladies.
I'll count it.
What they're going to be doing is the size of a man's belt shows a lot about a person, is what Caitlin says. And so this is going to be a competition to get Katie's golden cowboy belt. I mean, I would want something like that because it's just so tacky. And so they're going to be doing some mud wrestling. So the matchups are Brendon versus Hunter. Brendon wins. Andrew S versus Kyle. Andrew wins. It's a draw between Josh and John. Poor John. He's just, everybody's just being like, oh, he's such a small guy. Oh, like, I felt bad that like all the guys are so worried about poor John. It seemed really sweet, but it made him look to me like a 17-year-old kid that was like, scrapping with his older brothers. And you're just like, oh, don't try too hard. You're going to get hurt. But he's cute. And then the main event, I guess, is Aaron versus Cody. So we still haven't at this point gotten any sort of resolution as to what the heck is going on between these two. But they're reading that there's tension. So Katie and the girls are like, there's tension. There's something going on. They won't make eye contact. So they're picking up on something, or they're told by the producers. I don't know. And they were really going at it. I'm not really one to really enjoy wrestling in this fashion, especially because they're not trained. So I get uncomfortable with maybe somebody getting hurt or breaking a bone. Like, I don't like when I'm fearing for somebody getting hurt. And so I don't really enjoy these dates ever. I don't want to see women boxing each other, and I don't want to see these men rolling around, even if it's in mud, if I'm supposed to like that.
I agree. Like, I'm not more attracted to these guys because they're fighting each other. That's just not my vibe. And especially because these guys actually don't like each other. So it feels particularly negligent of them to constantly like do this, where they put people against each other, where they know there's tension there, because it's not good. Like, someone's actually going to hurt someone, and it's for no reason. Like, it's not even entertaining for me. If someone were to get injured, I would just feel badly that they got injured on a group date on the Bachelorette of all things. It's like, come on. No. So I don't like it either, but they always have to have this type of date in the mix every year. I know. Guys, girls, whatever. Like, you pick.
So
mud. Whatever.
they before they got to the wrestling part, they come out of their rooms, whatever, with their no shirts or whatever, not dressed. And then they go and they get all cowboy ready. So wearing like button up plaid shirts and cowboy hats or whatever, for them to only take off the plaid shirt to go wrestling. Like, I was like, what do you need to put on the plaid shirts? I know that they were all saying like, ooh, they look so hot. Like, oh, a guy in the, cowboy outfit, so manly. I'm like, I mean, it's okay. But like, I didn't understand the point of them putting on the shirt just to take it off again. Like, it was they silly.
Needed footage for the preview, I'm sure, of them in the cowboy gear walking.
The slow-mo walk, for sure. So Aaron versus Cody. Aaron ends up winning this bout and gets the golden cowboy belt, which means he gets some extra time with Katie. So I'm going to give you another 5 points there, girl, for winning some extra time with her. I think that that's worthy. And so she brings up that she noticed some of this tension between him and Cody, and he says that he knows Cody from San Diego, rubbed him the wrong way, he thinks that he wants to become famous. And like, even if somebody wants to become famous, who effing cares? Like, why does that offend you so much? Like, he's not done anything other than just starting to get to know Katie. Like, he hasn't promised Katie anything. Like, he doesn't know if he's in like interest. Nobody knows if they're really interested in her if they haven't been on a date with her yet. Like, they should be able to come on the show for whatever reason that they want to, and then be happily surprised by the connection that they build with this woman. So I didn't understand. He didn't say anything other than he rubbed you the wrong way. Like, get out of here. I'd be so irritated if this child is coming and throwing some under the bus, but not giving me anything like actually tangible that I could assess myself as to what went on in the situation. How did you feel about him doing this little tattle bit?
I think this whole thing's really confusing because I still don't really understand what their conflict is.
And then handled something in a malicious way. What is he talking about?
What? Yeah, exactly. It's like we spent an entire, several episodes last season following Anna apparently knowing Brittany from Chicago in the most vague of terms. And I feel like I understand more about that than I understand about these two guys who apparently actually know each other. I'm like, okay, what happened? And why didn't we get any of that information? Like, is this, again, like, I'm not watching Memento. Like, we don't need to have things, we don't need like Pulp Fiction where I need things to come in like out of order for me to understand what's happening here. I'm just like, what's the beef? I don't understand.
Like, I don't know why I'm supposed to care.
Like,
they haven't made me care. I don't care about Aaron. I don't care about Cody. I don't care about I care about their beef in the sense that like, it's a focus. But like, why? Like, what happened? So I can have my own judgment as to who's in the right, who's in the wrong, what's valid. Should he say something? Like, I want to be able to assess this myself. I'm sure Katie did as well. And so I thought it was just really bizarre that he spent his one-on-one time like this. It's just quite childish to me. Like, even if she asked him, like, so what's going on? Be like, oh, it's silly. Me and him, we know each other from back home, and we just never really got along. We're not cut from the same cloth. We don't mix very well. And like, that could be enough for that moment. And then maybe at another time you can get deeper into it. But like, the malicious rubs me the wrong way. I'm just like, who cares?
Like, what did he do? What did he actually do?
Exactly.
Like, I'd be curious to know
about things, right?
Because then it also paints Aaron in this way where he's like, I'm protecting you from something, or I'm telling you this because I'm looking out for you. It's like, okay, sure. But what am I looking out for? Like, you can't just say that and then we don't really have the context. Like, it also doesn't make you look that good, in my opinion, either, because I don't feel like I'm getting the entire story here. So I'm confused. It's random.
So confused. And then we obviously get the confessional of Cody saying that he's really optimistic about potentially getting the group date rose. I was like, yeah, sorry, that's not happening. And so Katie comes out and says that something has been revealed to her today. Katie then grabs Cody and I don't know who said this, but I hope the situation doesn't ruin her night. I think Aaron maybe said that. It's like, well, yeah, it's going to ruin her night. Like, why would you... If you didn't want to ruin her night, don't be saying this during her date, like, and during your time together. It's just like, it was just an eye roll moment. So she talks to Cody and, tells her kind of what Aaron was saying about him or whatnot. He did have a reaction in the beginning when he was like, whoa, like he was shocked by what she first presented to him. And then after, he was just kind of like, from me watching, didn't really know what to say because he didn't know just like we don't know what he's been outed for, what he's done wrong. And so she's trying to look for answers, but he doesn't even know what he's done. And so the fact that she took some time to herself, she says, one of you are lying to me, which I think that I feel like right now Aaron's lying to her or like not telling her the whole truth. And Cody doesn't know what's happening. But then she actually gets rid of Cody. And I was like, okay, bold, like, just getting rid of him, like, that you're not going to be with them, so fine. Before that, Cody and Aaron do have a little bit of a talk, and it still didn't even resolve anything for me either. I'm like, why do they keep on having these conversations that are just, like, empty? And so, yeah, she sent Cody home, and Aaron gets to stay. I thought she should have sent both of them home. That's what I would have done.
Yeah. There's two things about this. It's like Cody didn't exactly do a great job advocating for himself in that conversation. It seems to me like he has enough self-awareness to know that his impulse is to get angry in a moment like that. And he even said so much himself that he just wanted to yell, but he didn't. So in a way, I respect that he took it on the chin and just left and was like, you know what, I'm gonna just move forward with whatever's happening. There's no winning this situation. I'm just gonna go forward. I'm like, okay, if you know yourself well enough to just take the loss and move forward, then good for you, because he could have been, could have reacted in a way that was way more dramatic or more of a blow up or whatever. So whatever. But then also, Katie's so interesting as a Bachelorette because, again, I'm like, she's kind of changing things in the same way that like things aren't playing out, like even as Mike's reveal isn't playing out in the way that things normally would, where they'd milk it more and they'd like make it such a thing. Her sending him is just like, okay, there's not going to be a 2-on-1 later on with Aaron versus Cody where we hash this out. I already know I'm not interested. In the same way she took to Instagram to say, I don't think Chris should be hosting this show anymore. She's just doing things. So I kind of like that because it's changing the pacing of everything, and it makes it seem like she actually does have control, and it makes it seem like she's adhering to the standard that she set for herself, which is that she wants to get engaged and she's taking this very seriously. Like, that is very clear. Yeah, very clear.
For sure. Like, get rid of somebody that's not like that you have any doubts about. Like, there's no point in having him around if like he didn't respond the way that you wanted him to. You're just getting to know each other. There's no reason to put any effort in right now because like there's other people that have good connections that doesn't have these things looming over that I know better than you. So I totally get her letting him go. I just felt,
why not both? Yeah.
Both, but maybe Aaron doesn't make it through the rose ceremony, so that's probably maybe why we feel unsatisfied there. And I don't remember what my second point is, but I guess, do I want the 2-on-1? No, I don't really care for the 2-on-1. I just wish that I understood what happened between Cody and Aaron more before she sent somebody home. I know she was saying that like it felt like it was rehearsed what he was saying. Like I could see somebody not wanting to blow up or know that they're on TV or don't know what they're admitting to, like not knowing what to say. And so just kind of go stoic and just like answering and being like, okay, like, I'm sorry, I don't know what I did, and maybe not being super reactionary. I get that. And so I wish it was more resolved than her just letting someone go. That's probably what's bothering me about that situation. Hi, Louie. Aaron is hella hot. I'm not into him. I think it's just because he looks too young for me. Like he looks like a teenager.
He is attractive for sure. I think
if I was like 19, I'd be like, yes, like you are so good looking. But like, I'm too old for him.
Some mid-20s guy who's just like living his life, and I don't know that he's a serious contender here. But I mean, I don't know. I went back and forth with him this episode. I'm just like so confused because I kind of also do feel bad for Cody. And I understand not being able, like you just said, to say the right thing in the moment where the pressure's on, where it's just kind of like, I don't really know what to say. So I'm just like, like, I don't really know what's going on. I don't know what to say. And that ended up kind of just like not working out for him. And then, in moments, I'm like, when Aaron addresses things with Karl later on, I'm like, yes, let's bring it up. Like, let's do it. So I'm kind of like back and forth with him, but I don't think he's like, necessarily looking to get engaged at the end of this or anything like that.
No. So Katie comes back to the group, tells him that like I just send Cody home, and that she wants to take a moment to herself. And that's what I don't like about these type of things is that like these guys already get like teeny moments with the Bachelorette. You want them to be there for the right reasons. You want them to be there to make these connections, but then you don't allow them to interact with the lead. Like this is similar to what happened with Claire. Claire only wanted to be around Dale, and then these big blowups would happen, and she doesn't want to be around. Like she never was around the guys, and the guys are just like, I just want to like hang out and just see if we're good together. And so I'm hoping that this is not a pattern, especially since Greg's seemingly the front runner. And we got Thomas in there as a front runner, that maybe she's not feeling it necessary to make all these connections with all these men and like feels fine with just like taking a moment to herself. Like I would never be able to do that. I would be like, guys, like let's go, like let's change this up, like change this vibe, like talk about me, make me feel good. I would definitely be, using their energy to make me feel better for sure.
Yeah.
So will we find out what happened between Aaron and Cody at the men's tell-all? We're going to have to wait till then? No.
This is so early.
Something.
People don't even talk about things from this early, I feel like, at the men tell-all. Like,
unless Aaron makes it
far. Old news by then. Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Which I don't think he will. I think that Cody's going to be asked that question a lot being out so early, and he might be able to talk about it. So... because it is his own life. It has nothing to do necessarily with the show. So he might be able to come clean. That would be an
Maybe he'll come back.
Maybe this is not right. This is not how it is. And then have some receipts. I want receipts. Okay, so obviously Andrew is like, he's pretty upset about this situation. You know, he wants to spend time with your other front runner here, wanted to spend time with Katie. And so he decides to find Katie, who is just waiting outside for him, it seems, to bring her a glass of champagne and ask her if she wants to go and have a talk inside. And so you're going to get another 5 points here, darling, because they do have a conversation where he mentions that he was raised by a strong woman, that he was from a lower income family. They bonded over being free lunch kids. We don't have that in Canada that I know of, so we don't know really what that or I don't really know what that means, but it probably means like food stamp type low income family. So they were able to bond over that. So you're gonna get having that's the emotional bonding story connection points there. He does tell her that she's amazing and that he means this, and then he has to stop looking at her that. She has to stop looking at him that way. And she's like, I want to be looking at you that way. And then they kiss. It seems like he was trying to show her how to kiss, which I appreciated. Because she has like a thing that she does. I know, he's cute.
He seems very like himself, and yeah, his personality translates really well on TV. He seems enjoyable to be around. I really like Andrew S. I hope that continues for him because I'm enjoying him on the show.
Yeah, I don't see anything wrong going on with the relationship. Just like maybe he'll get cut later down the road just for having deeper connections. But like I think that he's gonna have like a nice relationship with her, you know? So Kyle has a little mini date. I wrote them he's kind of cute but boring. John talks about craving a relationship. Do you get 5 points here for Josh? So he mentions that he used to be borderline obese and that, you know, it was really a hard moment for him to be taking off his shirt in the group date. How do you feel about that?
I must have missed that. I didn't even know that happened.
Yeah, like so Josh, like that's when they had like this, like it was kind of a montage of like of one-on-ones. And he just talks about like, yeah, like I didn't always look this way. Like, you know, a little while ago I was borderline obese. And so it was really, really hard for me to like take off my shirt. And she's like, you look good. You look great. You look great.
Wow. Well, I guess
won't give you that.
Maybe. Wow.
Do I get points for Hunter giving her a damn letter? Come on, give it to me.
But what in the teabag map is this note from Hunter? It's like your elementary school treasure map that you dye with tea bags. I was like, this is tragic. But, you know, bless you, Hunter. This guy's really just trying his best here. He's just trying to be a sincere, nice guy.
Well, I'm going to give 5 points for that because it's kind of like a serenade, we'll say.
Yeah, I mean, you did something.
You get 5 points for Andrew getting the group date rose. So that bonding moment did pan out for 10 points for you from Andrew today. So we're at the cocktail party portion. I love that green lame dress. I was talking on another podcast yesterday and I thought that Katie wasn't wearing lashes, but she was wearing lashes at this ceremony and in that dress that had like the silver or like the Swarovski in the middle. She was wearing lashes. And I do like I think that it makes me feel more like she's a bachelorette when she's wearing lashes. Like she just looks more.
She looks really glammed up. Obviously, other than the Greg date, but duh. I will say the styling this episode for Katie, I thought she looked pretty good in all of these main looks. Like both the black dresses with the illusion situation, whether it was the low cut one with like the crystals across, and then even there was a second black one that was like kind of similar, but it was more of like a mesh with some crystals on it and also kind of like an illusion neckline. I thought she actually looked really good in both of those. And then the green, I like it in theory. I feel like maybe there's something in the tailoring of it in the length that was like slightly off for me, or even just the color is like, I wanted it to be like slightly more of like an emerald green. But I did like the idea of the dress. Yeah.
I think for Katie, because like for me, I would want to wear it in that color, I think. And so I'm just looking at the dress itself. I'm like, oh my God, I love that dress. I love that color. Yeah. But I could see on Katie a little bit more emeraldy, looking a little bit like better for her. But I thought that it was just like cool, and like I loved how shiny it was. Like it was just like a nice dress that like I was interested in. So I was vibing with it. So what did I write about Karl here? Oh, so Karl was happy when he learns that Cody is not going to be there. He says less guys to compete with. I'm just like, eye roll. How many eye rolls are you going to give me this episode, Karl? So Katie addresses the guys, of course, just as usual. She immediately pulls Michael away. And he's kind of doing this whole, I get rejected a lot, shy thing, but then asks to kiss her. And like that kiss moment was like, I found a little awkward personally, but they seem to like it. Do you have any thoughts about this moment with Michael and her?
I also thought it was awkward.
Right.
But guy needed his time, you know? He needed his time.
I mean, I'm happy that he felt better about their relationship after that moment. So I don't want him to feel left out or whatever. Like it just would suck to be the only guy that didn't get a date. Like, I don't know, it wouldn't feel great. So I'm happy that she made him feel a little bit better about that, hopefully. So Karl is asking some of the guys, is Cody the only one? Oh man, Karl. Like, okay. And everybody's like, John's like, you know, he thinks it's dumb to be worrying about this. Like, let's just like play it out, which is like the mature, normal things to do. And Karl just wants to get on that bandwagon of like the witch hunt of who's there for the right reasons or wrong reasons. I think
exactly.
Doc protests too much here, okay? So Karl's pointing these fingers. That thumb's pointing back at him. Same with Aaron, pointing fingers. I think he's the problem. Like, I think that the people that are bringing these to the forefront without really being asked is the ones that need to be looked out for. Like, I think that it should be a huge red flag. Anybody coming to her without her explicitly asking them what's going on in the house, because that to me would be a huge, huge red flag.
But also, it doesn't help that he has a terrible poker face, Karl. Like, it's just like, as soon as guys were like, what are you talking about? Like, can you give us the details? Can you give us the specifics? He was just like, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say specifically, like, those people can just come forward. It's like, no, dude, like, that's not landing. Like, people know that you're full of it. Katie, I think clearly knew and was not having it. Like, no, not well played.
Karl even says though to the guys, I don't want drama. I'm sorry. What? Like, yeah, you do. Liar. So before Karl has his I think, did she have her convo with him yet? I don't know when she has the combo with him, but like the fact that he brought all this information to Katie, I think it was really, really bad, especially because he doesn't tell her any full information. And she's like, okay, well, like, I want to be clear and straight. Like, what are you telling me? And he's like, well, I don't really want, like, you know, to talk about it. And it's like, well, like, you brought it up. Like, let's talk about it. I don't want to name names. Well, you don't have to name names. What specific information are you giving me here? Like, well, like, it's just like what I've gathered. Like, it's just like, buddy.
Like, she wasn't going to let that slide. She was not going to let that slide. She's like, you can't just say that to me. Like, tell me what you actually know.
Okay, yeah, I wrote it down. Yeah, I don't want to go into the details. I don't want to stress you out about it. But I don't know if you heard the music underneath. It was really dark and sinister. It was like, it was like, and you're just like, oh, it's totally like the evil villain. So I definitely am going to take 5 points for Karl. He is getting the villain edit here.
Oh, totally.
Like he got that music. Like, he's 100% villain. She does have a little one-on-one before that happens with Thomas. How are you doing? Better now. And so she again mentions that she knew that there was something special between the two of them, you know. So that happened. And like, obviously right before Katie has her little one-on-one moment with Karl, she says that she's just so happy and she doesn't know like if anything could go wrong in this night. And then Karl has to go and just ruin her night. Like, I don't like that.
She was having a nice time.
Would bother me is that these men like want to be so honest, but you know what? It just hurts Katie. It just makes Katie not feel great. And you're the person that's making her not feel great. Like, just let her find these things out on her own. Like, you don't need to be her hero here. She doesn't know you. Like, let her enjoy being the Bachelorette instead of like all of her insecurities coming up of people like not actually wanting to be with her. And like, I just think it's kind of mean of Karl and Aaron for like wanting to be the hero and actually just are hurting her feelings.
Well, it messes with her because it's also like, we know we're not naive as an audience to believe that every single guy there is there for her or there to get engaged at the end. But because he doesn't actually have real information about it, that's like tied to something that somebody's told him, it's messing with her because it's now like putting her in this position where she's eliminated someone and been like, this is not cool. Like, this is not what I want. I'm here seriously. I trust the process, the classic phrase. And that's what I'm doing this for. And then she eliminates that person. So everybody else is there for the right reasons, as far as we know. She's back on her game. Then he plants a seed of doubt again, which will probably be true about somebody later down the line.
Yes.
And it's just this back and forth thing, but it's like, you didn't actually talk to someone in a way where you found out information about them. Like, you just threw this out there. She was having a nice night. Like, come on. Why'd you have to do that?
I said it. I thought this was a jerk move, Karl. Like, I would be mad. Shoot the messenger, Katie. Shoot the messenger. So Katie addresses the men, crying, of course. So she's like, a bomb was dropped on me. And she's like, I don't know how clear I have to be. If you're not here for me, if you're not here for a proposal, get the fuck out. So she laid it down. And I'm fine with that. Lay it down. Yep. Like, get out of here. Like, you know, Rachel Lindsay, I want engagement. I'm not going to be with Peter. He doesn't want to get married. I'm done. Like, I want an engagement. So get out if you're not there for that. So I'm happy that she's really standing her ground here and hopefully puts the fear of God into some of these people. Oh, so Natalie's really hilarious. So she did mention this before. I hadn't gotten back to pull it up yet, but Karl and Queen Victoria deserve each other and have fun on Paradise. I would be interested in seeing if they connect. That's interesting.
Weird. She'll be there for sure.
She's there. I heard that she's speculated to be there. Her and Tammy are like the two villain type people that are going to be there. So we'll be seeing her again. So when
did you hear that? Sorry, random, but did you hear that one of the people that's rumored to be going there, and I don't know if they're going to be first like people that are on the beach or comes in later, is former Bachelorette. Well, yeah, Lil Jon, former Bachelorette Becca Kufrin.
I did hear this. She was canoodling with Blake a little bit, but I think that that's over unless like he's also going to come on Paradise and they're going to pretend like they're going to get back together or something like that. Yeah. I don't know. But I did hear that Becca's going to be on. I would imagine her being someone that shows up for somebody that's interested in her. I don't feel like she'd be the starting off there, but it would be like, oh my God, I would love to meet Becca. Like, I'm so into her. I think she's beautiful. I hate what happened with her and Garret, blah, blah, blah. And then she walks down the steps. So I would love her to walk down the steps to Little Jon.
Little Jon. The rest of the hosts that they announced, so random. Bring on the chaos.
All of them in beach wear, though. Beach gear. Like, give me them in beach gear. Like, I'm just down. I'm down with however this turns out. Like, it's funny.
It's gonna be something, yeah.
So she does call Aaron. Aaron, you want to talk? Ooh, Aaron had the fear of God in him when she called him over, as if like his mom was about to give him a whooping. And so I was like scared for Aaron. Like maybe that we'd learned something that we didn't get from her conversation with Karl. But I think it's because Aaron was so honest with the information with Cody that maybe he knew something that he would be willing to say something to Katie. So I think that that's why she chose him to speak to in that moment, that like they've already had these kind of discussions already. So maybe he would offer up some more information. I wish he said like, no, Karl's an asshole. Like get rid of him. He's like causing shit. That would have been, I would have been like pro standing Aaron right there. But I don't remember what he says, but nothing to that effect. And so basically, wait, who said I don't think it's my place? Oh, Karl, like come back to the guys. And all the guys were like, what's going on? What was it said? And like he was just standing there not even owning up to anything. And then finally he's like, well, I don't think it's my place. I'm like, Karl, like everybody's done with Karl. Trey, done with Karl. Like Justin's been done with
everyone done
with Karl.
Justin's been done with Karl since the group date. Justin's been done with Karl since his terrible group date performance. He was already hating him. So
he hated him when they got the group date rose, when Karl was like, it's not what you could do for the Bachelorette, like whatever she said, is what the Bachelorette can do for you, or whatever crazy slogan thing that he said. And then we don't get a rose ceremony. So it didn't end really on a like upwardness, like it's kind of ended on a down, in my opinion, because like, you know, she wasn't happy in the end. Like I felt for her, because if she's not always felt like the girl that gets the guy, and then having twice in like a week, you know, people not caring about her feelings and not being there for the right reasons. Like, I don't know. I want to see her do well. I don't want to see them completely toy with her emotions this way. I don't think that that's fair. So Karl, thanks for the points, but you suck. And I hopefully you're going to be gone on the rose ceremony at the very beginning of the episode.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't mind one more
blow
up
in the preview.
Fight. True.
Didn't see him in the preview, so well, who knows? That could be misleading, anyways. But
yeah, they're sneaky. But that's pretty much it for the episode. They had one little outtake of her and Conor talking about needles and fear of needles, which was kind of cute and sweet. So they do seem to have like a nice little friendship, but it doesn't seem like boom. You know, it doesn't seem like. It just seems nice so far, but I can see it building. So we'll keep an eye on that relationship there. Might make it pretty far.
Yeah. I have a feeling it'll progress to like he ends up like liking her more than she likes him type situation.
I can see that. Oh, we didn't look at I guess the only thing going on with the draft. So let's just do this quickly.
Well, yeah, no elimination.
Well, just one kind of. So.
Oh yeah, true.
So basically, they fell to the bottom. So I guess I'm just removing Cody. He is out. He's out of there. So we'll update the
selling zippers.
Back to selling zippers. Yes. I'll update this actually for next week, because like I will really do it. I promise. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this episode. Well, thanks for hanging out with us in the chat room, everyone. Natalie has one last quick question. What do you think about Tia Booth being on Paradise? I didn't hear that. Ghost Store Joe and Kendall are going to be on Paradise. Oh, really? Oh, womp womp. Like, sorry, like that ship's already sailed to me. I don't care about Ghost Store Joe. I don't care about Kendall, and I don't care about Tia.
Tia's constantly ready to go to Paradise, I think. Whatever. All three of those people, I actually could not give a shit about being on there, but I guess they needed to throw some older contestants in the mix. It's just like, what do we need to see from Tia at this point? Like, all of your life, girl. Like, is this show really for you? It has not historically been well for you. And then clearly they're bringing Kendall in, obviously, because they want to play up the stuff with her and Joe's history and blah, blah, blah. Just like,
Who cares?
There's so many newer contestants that I'm more interested in seeing there and like seeing what they do than any of those three. But I guess they really had to reach to get some folks over, since a lot of them
stars
may not be going. Yeah, some Bachelor Nation stars. Well, that being said, I will watch with enjoyment.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm ready for a Bachelor in Paradise. Like, I want it to be a quick little recap. Like, it'll be like 45 minutes to an hour, just because there's nothing that really goes on, and just like have pure entertainment. So I'm into it enough to watch it, of course. Do you have anything you want to say about this episode before we say sayonara?
No, I think we covered it all.
Perfect. Well, you guys know the drill, but if you could subscribe, that would be amazing. Reality Realness with 3 S's. And we will catch you again next week. See ya.